Hello. Oh, I have very crazy hair. I've been wearing a hat, so it's gonna stick up. Unfortunately, there isn't much I can do. Crazy hair. So, how are you? This has been a weird couple days. And it's been a weird couple days because, some what I consider critical information has transpired between you and I. And this is something that I would really ask you to think about. I watched the videos that you sent me. They're very good. And I had actually been employing some of the things that she had mentioned. I had actually been doing them, carrying it out, and it gave me positive indicators for me that I'm in the right, area, working on the right things. So thank you very much for sending these videos. So, this is where I'm trying to navigate, okay? Because I don't know how to talk positively to you without it being considered me gaslighting or love bombing or something. So I'm going to say this with that disclosure, that I know what that is. And yes, I certainly have been caught up into that, both items, love bombing and the other one. So that is something, gaslighting, inflating things, what have you. I try very hard. I think I've done more the love bombing, I would say, because I do get excited and genuinely happy about thinking about you. And this is why I really do ask you, please, her name, the doctor you sent me, I butcher names, Dr. Remini. That's why I had mentioned her in that email, and I was using the voice operated, and I don't remember the woman's name at the time, and there's, no way I was gonna go and spell it, but I figured you knew who I was talking about. Anyways, with her videos, one gave me I very much enjoy and am learning. I like her. The vocabulary she uses is spot on. Many of the people that she makes references to, I've read. And I'm trying to say that in a way of that's nice, because it's kind of like I've been trying to grasp my way in the dark, if you will, and intuitively looking. And so many of the people that I actually have, she mentioned some people like Winnicott and attachment theory and stuff, and I actually have the books, the actual books from the actual people. And what I mean by that is I'm very happy because I've been trying to express that I've been really working on this stuff. And I don't know how to say that without you thinking that, I'm making things up. Okay, so that's what's weird. And that's why I ask, if you could, please watch her video. I sent it to you as a reference and said, please watch this, but I'm putting extra emphasis on this because of the 20 things that she listed. I've been doing quite a lot of those to various degrees, and of course to various outcomes over this time. But the biggest thing that got me excited was she mentioned 3 different times, essentially meditation, whatever people derive that as. And she said it 3 different times throughout the video. And of course, that translated to me like, a big part of the yoga stuff is meditating or just, and of course, let me put out that other caveat. I am only doing it through the lens of Christianity. And there are many phrases in the Bible where essentially says, be quiet and know that I'm God. Sit in silence. Jesus went out for 30 days. They're not really like right on it. Maybe they lack the vocabulary or they just didn't get into that aspect. Or perhaps they considered it so important that they didn't want to give away that type of information. I don't know. Maybe it's cultural. Or they all assumed that everybody knew what was going on. In the garden in Gethsemane. That's a form of I believe the distinction between prayer and meditation is like meditation, you just kind of sit, whereas prayer, you seem to be active and going, Lord, please help me, where you're more actively participating when you pray because you're like saying things directly to God. And I'm hoping if you do meditation correctly, and I'm not saying you, but me, what I practice is the idea of sitting, and with the larger idea of sitting with God, Perhaps, and what I even do is I take it a step further and I thank God for being here. And then I also open up and I ask God, what can He show me? What can I learn from this lesson? And essentially what I do, is essentially prayer, okay? But for me, that prayer has always had, a loaded context and background. And so, I never got there through that meaning that I understood it as. But I have gotten there, through my own getting there. So that's a good thing. But anyways, going back to the woman's video, and this is what I'm saying. I'm trying, because I've been trying to talk with you and say, hey, I've really been working on this stuff and for real. Now, what I do think that is different is like with my parents, like with that video, like removing your soul, staying back, I've been doing that. Not engaging with my father. And I listened to that video because it gave me even more precision in how to operate and how to distance myself. And also, I'm taking what you're doing not so personally, okay? Because I understand cognitively what you're doing and you're protecting yourself, and I understand that. So that's a good thing because I'm, I had to, take that a little personally because that's how I view our relationship. So I don't know how to balance saying that, it's really good for me to go back and visit these videos and watch her because I do like her. And try to say, hey, if anybody can get through this, because she said people can get through this with rare exception. Rare exceptions can get through this. And I would like to think, given the time and the effort that I've been putting into this, and a lot more that you don't know, because I just don't have the time to say, but I know that I've been putting in the time. Okay, and it's given me positive feedback that I could make it through, because I do feel more as if I had, she spoke a lot like a making of a narcissist. There's a couple videos that I watch, so they blend them all together. And what I do is I listen for the key phrases that I know. Most of it applies, but for the key phrases like that I feel like affect me personally, like I never asked to do this, to be in this, and things like that. And the part where she was like, hey, if you go back into everybody's history, like the narcissist, they are, they didn't have good parents. And if you go back to their parents, they didn't have good parents. And she said, it seems like a lot of narcissists do not want to be this way, right? And it's been a big, huge thing for me understanding. And that's why I said, coming back, when I was just coming out of the yoga, because I literally ran away, distanced my soul from my parents, distanced myself a lot, and I could feel it. And specifically working on myself, that's when I said, man, and I hadn't talked to you for a year, but I was just like a year had gone by. And if you would have saw me then, you see what this is the danger, my being around in proximity to my parents for 4 years, that's what's wearing me down again. And I feel it every day. And that's why I've been putting up the shield to fight, because I'm not getting absorbed back into that ugliness, the stupidity. That's why I took that extra step to show them the video, to show them the videos, because my parents, are exasperated and so forth. And I'm like, hey, do you want to continue to do the same thing, just in a different spot? Because it's quite obvious, it doesn't matter where you go, you guys are fighting. And this is why. So I'm hopeful in that respect, and try to, have a open, honest dialogue at their pace. And that's the big one. I'm meeting it at their pace. And that's mind-numbingly low. Mind-numbingly low. If you think I'm slow, no. Okay. So, I have to be prepared for that. And also be prepared that, and actively approach it that with the idea that they're never going to get very far or really do the tough work that needs to be done, because I've been doing the tough work and it's been exhausting for me. So, but at least, some sort of awareness can foster, which is good, and start turning them towards this. So, that's something. So, anyways, I sent you that last video saying this is my last video to you. And fully meaning that and preparing to mean that. And, because I didn't want to see you cry. I didn't want you to think. And that's why I was just like, man, how do I communicate that I've actually been doing stuff? And not sound like I'm just saying it. Like, ooh, anything I can say to bring you back. And I'm like, no. Really I've been doing things. No, I'm nowhere close to being perfect. Certainly not. Not anywhere close to being perfect. But I have a chance. Okay? A real chance, I believe. To where I can be vibrant, fun, outgoing, nice, but just happy, be me, the positive version of me. And that's a good thing, okay? And just have a awareness. I had hypervigilance growing up, trying to avoid my parents. So why can't I turn my hypervigilance towards any awarenesses for the narcissism and have me call that out or work on at least the best I can or develop an awareness, which would be good. And if I could develop that awareness, well, then that would be awesome. And then, yes, I think I'm going to do a very nice blend of my own personal yoga, meaning not getting into all the fruity stuff, and Christianity, meaning just, of course, the tenets of the Bible, etc. But again, I have to do it my own way and learn my own way, just like you. But at the same time, I'm also open, to science. I'm also open to, electricity. Little things like this that make this, you and me communicating possible, they have some sort of bearing. So anyways, but that's why I'm trying to reach out and have that delicate talk with you. Because you are a very nice person. You're a very good person, and I do love you. And I also know you're very high strung. You just, you vibrate at a very high level, okay? And I'm trying to tamper that down. So it's not, but it's more like, boo, 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 boo. Slow you down. Slow. And I don't mean that in a condescending way, okay? Not at all. I think you could interpret it, and this is how I interpret it. Be still and know that I am God, right? That's the phrase. And when I was a kid, I used to sit and fish, right, up in Idaho. And I would sit there for hours, just sitting, with a little line, letting it float. But sometimes I would actually just put the fishing pole down and I would just sit and I'd close my eyes and I'd listen to the water going by, right? Without knowing it, that was part of and I was just sitting there as a kid, enjoying the beauty of everything, you see. So, I had a very nice, intuitive going with God. And I find personally that is the best approach. So that's what I'm doing. And you perhaps would, that's one of the things, you perhaps would do stuff differently. I am doing stuff that I feel that I can get through. And everything like Las Vegas and all of that, that's me cowing down to fear. That's why fear was such a big principle. I went through so much fear, personal fear, internal fear inside of me. It was ridiculous, okay? So this is me being vulnerable to you. This is me opening up to you, trying to give you a dialogue that you and I don't have. You see, I can meet you on deep personal levels if you're willing to go there yourself. But in order for me to do that, I also have to be personal, okay? When I have this, you can't see it, but it's up in here. That was fear. Me coming, even though I did think about that. Coming back from Las Vegas, I still had this. And that's after all the work I did. So how much stuff did I have going out into Las Vegas? And I do remind you, before I went to Las Vegas, I did come to see you. point of fact. Just a reminder. Okay? Because I needed a change, and I needed to do what I needed to do for myself. Very much like what you're talking about, to be independent. But it has to come from in here first. And one of the key principles is not being afraid. Now, me being back for the last 4 years, I felt basically most of the work that I'd done doing the yoga, and I hadn't really practiced yoga since I've been back, for the same reasons that you mentioned, being caught up into all that weirdness. I agree with you. I don't want to be caught up into that weirdness. I'm not going to, okay? That's why I say Christianity is the way, and somehow I inherently can't, I don't know what it is, but inherently there's a disconnect. Somehow, some way, this blends to that. Maybe one is a precursor for the other. I'm not exactly sure. Okay. And to be honest with you, it may be one of the lost arts of the white people way back when they went to India. Okay? So that's something to think about. So it may have its own significance historically, which I like to believe. Okay? Not that fruity Indian stuff. Okay? But anyways, that's just deeper talk. A little bit going tangents. I enjoy talking like that, but I don't want you, in a weird way, in certain things, I've always enjoyed big ideas. I've always enjoyed big principles and big theology, but not so much the slavery aspect of things. Like, there's different kinds of slavery. If I create a house with my mind and I put you in that house, you are now a slave to the house I built mentally, you see. And that I'm leery of, okay? And, that has, and because, like I said, and, through time, most of those principles are real. And I trust them, okay? And they've borne out to be real. More specifically, for myself, principally, I've kind of let go of the Old Testament stuff, and the New Testament resonates a lot more with me, because what I recognize and I realize is the New Testament inherently is a lot more elevated than I think people get there, and I know you get there, but it's just like this higher understanding. It seems like it comes across that way. And that I really like, because it resonates more with me, okay? And again, I'm trying to say all of these things in the most balanced way that I can and not get all woo 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 or any of that weird stuff. But it has to be said that a lot of this stuff out there is real, okay? But we are a more active principle, I would say, than a lot of people want you to believe. And we've had these talks, we have these talks. But the way I approach it, like I said, is way more independent, because being more independent has its detractors, but it also has one of its benefactors. And one of the benefactors of being independent is you don't get succumbed to, the one reasons why I didn't care for all that other stuff, as I mentioned before, is fear was a big undercurrent. to much of what those people were saying because they were doing a lot of Old Testament stuff. And that's why I say New Testament resonates a lot more with me. And I believe simply that's, humanity moving on and marching on in consciousness and getting better as we go down the line in time. Okay? See, this is what's fun about talking about deep issues like this and being able to have fun or talking about, because I know you just look at me and just go, and that's fun. Okay? That's one of the things that you and I can talk about. You see, we have a lot that we can talk about, and I'm hoping to get there, and I'm trying how to say it in the best possible way without saying, oh, this is a gaslighting, or this is just say whatever. Because no, I'm not trying to say whatever. I'm trying to evoke some sort of hope of possibility. And I hope you can see that I'm really trying. And not only that, just trying to also at the same time be as honest as I can and say, yeah, look, I agree with you because I totally screwed up. That's why I mentioned the Dr. Rimini's 20 things a narcissist could do. Because when I watched it, I was like, oh, awesome. Okay, this is more in all the vocabulary that I didn't have to express. It's like, hey, I see that I'm failing, but I'm also trying to be a little bit more successful than what I have. I've been doing the correct things in relation to my parents. I did the big correct thing with doing the yoga intuitively. And I think that's helped me tremendously because I really did it. And I mean, I really did it. And it helped me a lot. And of course, not, signing up for Ali bin Baba's whatever tutelage. No. And that's why I say this is me just talking to you, because like I said, I enjoy talking to you. I have fun with you. And this is not me gaslighting you, okay? And I say these things because I want you to understand I'm trying very hard to say positive, good things and have you know they're coming from an authentic place. Because I'm not exactly sure how to do that. But I'm hoping that you see that me even attempting to do that is like some sort of a good thing, okay? Because weirdness, this is where I'm trying to reach out and just say, hey, I agree with you. And I know what you're saying. And I want you to be calm in relation to me. And for me personally, the only way I know would be for you to meet me and just, remember how you and I met and we slept, okay? And we just fell into this deep sleep. And it was something like, all that anxiety, all the trepidation of meeting for the first time, all of that just kind of left. And I remember that with you. I remember how scared I was when I first met you. And then I fell asleep with you. And I felt safe with you. For that moment, all the ugliness, all the darkness, all the badness went away. And only thing that mattered was you. And that was very powerful for me. And I don't forget that. So yes, right there, that could have been gaslighting, definitely. But I was just trying to express to you that if that happened at all, genuinely, like it did, it has the possibility to be there for real in the future for you and I. Because when two people have that for each other, it's real and it's genuine. And I really believe that that's that deeper love connection that it's very rare for people to have. And with me saying so, all those other things apply. And that's why I'm saying, you know, if we talk about these things openly, and what I'm trying to do is open up a little bit to you and share a few things with you, because that's me adjusting my legs, because that I think is the hallmark of people coming together. And I don't know if I had the ability to do that other stuff because all that other stuff was still inside of me, you know? And so very, very ugly. And most of this has been being loosed in me. And I was thankfully, hopefully thinking of, there's a tale that's called the Pursuit of the Holy Grail. And Percival, one of King Arthur's knights, he went to the Grail for the first time after they went for a long time. And he went to the Grail Castle and he spoke to the Grail and he was afraid and he jumped over and jumped away. Okay. And I thought to myself, maybe that felt like me. And then Percival had to wander the lands for a long time. And then finally, Percival was able to come back to the Grail, come back to the Grail Castle. And this time, Percival understood the connection for God and stayed. And what I'd like to think for myself was me having to go through this was very similar because I failed, okay? And I failed in a big way. And I believe, like everybody else's chance, we get a chance to fail and we get one more chance. Because it's kind of like, hey, we know God's a pretty big thing. And if you haven't been connected to God, you know, so much, we see that you're trying. So, you know, hey, work around it a little while. Get rid of the stuff that you need to and come back sometime. I'm hopeful, at least, in that mythological legend, that it's a possibility. So, yes, I've been rambling, I've been talking. So, like I said, I felt like there was some critical information that went back and forth between you and I. Okay. So, I will leave it with that last pitch of please watch that Dr. Remini, and not in a gaslighting way, not in a weird way, but just in the way, the idea that I have been on the right path, but understanding that I have to come back and watch her videos and then try to self-apply. Like I said, and because she was talking about that, and just come back around again and reapply it to myself again. Okay? And be even more self-aware, if that makes sense. And again, you know, because I opened up and I had a lot of vulnerability with you. And I need to not so much have as much vulnerability with you, not right now. Not right now. Okay? Because you and I have the capability of hurting each other. And I see that, and I'm sure you see that, and I don't want that, and I'm sure you don't want that. And perhaps if we have some sort of structured talk or something, environment for a while, maybe you can get past some things. It's a possibility. I don't know. I really don't. But I don't want to go too long in this video. And thank you for listening to me. And like I said, I really did mean that last video about being the last video. And I sent it. And then a little while later was when you sent me that video of, hey, you know, look at the soul distancing video. And so I'm taking that video differently right now, meaning that, you know, as before, I would have been quote unquote more hopeful. But instead of saying that hopefully, I understand that you were just being nice and saying, hey, here's some good information, use it, right? And so letting you know that's how I'm taking it. Instead of having some grandiose, oh my goodness, she cares about me and we're going to be together forever, blah, blah, blah. That's a different way of taking the information, right? Okay. So anyways, I'm going to round up this video. Thank you for listening to me. Yes, and my hair is a little weird. Sorry about that. Good night. I love you. No gaslighting. No love bombing. Okay? Because there is some authenticity between you and I. And that's a good thing.